Radiant team pick.
Invoker.
Welcome to the Thunderfunking DotaCast. I'm Cranberry Thunderfunk, and this is Arrow versus MiTH.TRust in the TI4 Qualifiers, the Southeast Asian stage division, whichever word you want to use. Arrow, I believe, I have a good feeling about how this game turns out. I know what the standings are at the end of this round robin.
10 seconds remaining.
So I have a feeling about who
5
wins this.
seconds
But
remaining.
Arrow up to day 2 was actually 6-0, 7-0 maybe.
Dire team pick.
Looking like the best team in the Southeast Asian group by far. Although maybe not by far. There's been a lot of really close games, really good games. Have yet to see a game that's just as stompy as so many of the North American ones. I've shit on North America all the time, but they deserve it. Southeast Asia is awesome. I love it. In any case, I don't know these teams well enough. This is the first time I cast MiTH.TRust. I've done Arrow once. I am not going to be able to tell you who's going to play what hero or what heroes that this team prefers, especially given the wild card that Southeast Asian drafting tends to
10
be.
seconds remaining.
We do see some consistencies, however. There's an
5
Ember Spirit
seconds
band,
remaining.
a Centaur band, Doom, Lycan. We've seen those a lot. Trio Protector,
Reserve
Bat,
time.
Invoker, Shadow Demon. Those are pretty consistent picks these days.
Radiant team ban.
MiTH.TRust will start off with what this leads me to believe it's going to be an Exort Invoker if they pick the Shadow Demon. Soul Catcher combined with Sunstrike is tons of damage, easy kills. And the Shadow Demon is decent versus Batrider.
10
Given the
seconds
extreme
remaining.
proliferation of blinks these days, I think
5
Batrider
seconds remaining.
may be in for a harder time. Most of the Shadow Demons that I've seen
Reserve time.
in Southeast Asia qualifiers, and I mean it happened in North America as well, or I should say the Americas. Shadow Demon's been picking up Blink Dagger, and that makes him much more useful for dealing with Bat. He was already an okay counter to Lasso, not an amazing one, but you can buy a lot of time for the target. And if you can get the destruction on
team
Bat,
ban.
it's really the best.
Radiant
So-
team ban.
If he's able to pick up a Blink, then I think the Shadow Demon can really have a lot of impact on how Batrider performs. But that is a big if. Shadow Demon can end up with Dick All for farm, so
10 seconds remaining.
that's an if.
Dire
I'm not sure how
team
fond I
ban.
am of... When I say Treant, I think more passive. It looks more passive to me.
Dire
It's not
team
necessarily so, but when you have a Bat, I like heroes that help with providing vision, that help with providing map control, taking objectives, and Treant does little but help
Radiant
defend
team
objectives.
pick.
Does provide great follow-up with the overgrowth, but that's not as relevant for the Lasso. The pickoffs that Batrider's looking for, the map control that's necessary to find the lassos that you really want. Arrow will follow it up with the Brewmaster. Brewmaster does seem to be a little popular in the Southeast Asian region, which I think it's more about other teams underrating Brewmaster than any
10
specific
seconds remaining.
overvaluation for this area. The buffs to
5 seconds
Brewmaster's
remaining.
ult and the changes to the Ags upgrade are pretty important. The fact that you can Thunderclap while you have
Reserve time.
your spirits out, as well as get the Drunken Haze, that's very powerful, as well as the crit and the evasion provided. It makes this much more survivable, particularly in the mid-game. One of the things that sometimes happened with Brew before the buffs was you would just focus down all of his pandas, and that's not... If you can do that, then Brew is useless. The enemy team needs to be afraid of Brewmaster and his ultimate. If the enemy team is not, then the Brewmaster pick has been wasted, and I think the upgrades certainly help with that. He is still a mid-game semi-carry. He can't carry a game particularly hard, particularly because no items apply to those spirits, except for auras. It was the case in Dota 1 that around the original split location, you could still things like AC,
Dire team
Vlads. would still apply. I don't know if that's the case in Dota 2. It also used to be the case that if you pick up a heart and you cast a split, then Brewmaster would just heal to full by the end of the split, since he was taking no damage. I'm not sure if that's the case either, but haven't seen a heart on Brewmaster in ever, so not a likely combination.
10 seconds remaining.
MiTH.TRust will pick up a Nyx Assassin. They
5
want
seconds
another way to
remaining.
deal with the Bat Rider, and that's what they get. It's also a little bit of a counter pick. They don't want to have to
Reserve
deal
time.
with Nyx Assassin up against when they have an Invoker. Nyx is pretty good at ganking Invoker. Invoker has high intelligence, suffers from mana burn. And if you can pop Spike Carapace after the tornado, or before the tornado occurs, then can punish spells in that way. So I think Nyx is a strong pickup, and it makes whatever lanes they want to go for pretty reliable. Disruption is a great setup for Impale, Soul Catcher, all the good stuff. So MiTH.TRust are still looking for a harder carry, a carry of some sort. I've not really been able to successfully guess what carries anyone goes for in these games, outside of really Doom. Doom is pretty popular, very, very popular.
Juggernaut.
Interesting. A Juggernaut.
Radiant team pick.
Huh. I haven't seen a lot of Juggernaut. Juggernaut's always been a little more popular in across the sea, across the ocean even. And does combo well with Brewmaster. Can heal up those spirits very quickly. Brewmaster being a strength hero gets a lot of regen off of the ward.
Morphling.
But it's a very mid-game
Dire
lineup.
team ban.
Very deadly one. They should be able to group up and take down towers with relative ease. And the Morphling pick makes me a little nervous for MiTH.TRust in that respect. If Morphling doesn't have a really solid laning stage,
10 seconds remaining.
maybe even has to pick up a kill or two in order to be ready to handle the aggression
Radiant
from Arrow.
team ban.
They have a lot of ways to dive towers. They have a lot of ways to find pickoffs. Depending on the build that Juggernaut goes for, it's one of the things I love about Juggernaut. One of the reasons he's one of my favorite heroes is that you can build him in so many different ways. You can kind of go for the more hard carry. He can't out carry most other traditional agility carries. But if he has damage if there's other sources of damage on the team, he can provide that the carry necessary. And Enchantress can certainly fill that role, as well as Brewmaster. So they have multiple sources of damage. They have good push, healing ward, as well as the what's it called? Spirits, Nature's Attendants. Lots of healing for the team, and they have pretty reliable damage. The only downside I feel is that these are two melee
10 seconds remaining.
in Brew and Jug, and it's going to make their positioning a little more predictable.
5
And they're up
seconds
against
remaining.
two ranged cores in Invoker and Morphling, so they're going to get kited, and they don't
Reserve
have very
time.
good disable. They've got Overgrowth and Lasso. If they don't find the ideal Lasso, and that's going to be Invoker is the prime target, Shadow Demon probably shortly after that. If you can get the Invoker and not get disrupted, then the fight's going to go really well. But
10 seconds
that's a big
remaining.
if, and they have MiTH.TRust have multiple ways to help deal with the Lasso, and they go for the Enigma. I was just about to say that, because when you're dealing with two melee like Brew and Jug, that makes the positioning of the enemy team much more predictable, and forces them to group up more than they would really like. Additionally, with the blink Lasso, that's going to be an obvious time for Arrow to collapse onto that target. And there should be opportunities for nice black holes in this game. Personally, I think the draft for MiTH.TRust here is a little bit better. Black hole can if you can get the black hole off and then kill Brew before he gets the ultimate off, then that's really bad. And they have both physical and magic damage. So the evasion isn't just going to be enough
10
to make sure the
seconds
Brewmaster has the
remaining.
necessary survivability. It's going to be very
5
important
seconds
for
remaining.
Juggernaut to get his core items up, for the Blink to arrive on bat to find pickoffs, particularly before Blink and BKB is available on Enigma,
Prepare for battle.
and to start pressure as soon as possible to slow down this farm on Morphling. Ideally, you want to have tier 1s dropping before Morphling hits level 11, and Replicate becomes a very reliable ability for split push and farm. Alright, checking on the stream, making sure it's all okay. I hate this skin for Shadow Demon. He's like a spider. Not to do the commentary thing of like, oh, let's check out some cosmetics while I run out of things to talk about, but I do. Like, this is gross. That's no thank you.
30
Running through the lineups.
seconds.
Arrow on the dire side. They're going to have DDZ on Brewmaster. I believe he's their mid player, so it does look to be a Brew mid. Possibly up against an Invoker with the Morph level pickup at level 1 on Morphling. Definitely headed towards the safe lane, wants the last hitting ability. So that'll leave, oh god, Abba. We're just going to call him Abba.
The battle
Abba on
begins.
Invoker. That lane favors Brewmaster, or sorry, favors Invoker. Cold Snap can be really frustrating for melee heroes because they're just so easy to hit with it. However, this is an Invoker, an Exort Invoker. So it may be a little bit later before the Cold Snap comes out, and the Cold Snap won't be as high level. That said, lots of rotation possibilities for MiTH. With Boom Bell, yeah. In the jungle on Enigma, he can rotate with Malefice. TNK. I don't think that makes for any words, so we're just going to have to call him that. TNK on Shadow Demon. He can rotate in. Disruption is a great setup, especially against a melee like Brewmaster. His positioning is so easy to predict. But he'll be supporting Lakels on Morphling. I don't know what these names are. The horror. In the off lane, we have Kites? Oh, God. I'm going to call him Kite on Nyx Assassin. Because it's not even just I've never cast these teams, I've never seen them cast, so I have no clue what their names are. He's going to be in the offlane. Radiant offlane is so much easier to manage than Dire offlane, and he should be fine. On Arrow, Shanxai. He'll be doing the offlane bat with just these two. He should be fine. Does have to be careful. He's actually not gotten a single point of experience yet, so a slow start for him. And given that it's Enigma in the jungle, they're not going to be doing as much pulling, and so there are fewer pulls to challenge. His own jungle is also consumed by Mozun on the Enchantress, so his options are a little bit limited, and really could slow this Blink Dagger down a lot, which I think is very bad for Arrow. Johnny's going to be supporting... Johnny and Treant Protector is supporting Lance on Juggernaut up at top. It's not a kill lane. They probably shouldn't be able to take this Nyx Assassin out of lane, especially since Spike Carapace and Pale. It's not good for dealing with Blade Fury, but can help if he's able to position himself correctly and wait until it's afterwards. Prevents the chase from Juggernaut. Juggernaut has good natural move speed. He's picked up early boots. But actually as has Kite. KYT, oh man. I'd look it up right now, but I'm just Shanxai, desperate for that level 2. There's the Sunstrike as well as the waveform. He's dead. First Blood gets picked up by TNK. Yeah, terrible lane for Arrow. This is not going well. I have to say, this draft from MiTH.TRust I think might just be strictly superior to what Arrow has. They're going to win all of their lanes. Although actually in mid, DDZ is getting a very good start here. 18-5 versus 8-3 on... Oh, fuck. Abba. Yes, Abba. That's right. Fuck, it's hard to read. Purple on green. No, thank you. So it looks like he's actually going to need some support from his teammates to make this lane work, because now that the bottle's up on DDZ, he's totally fine. and with the level advantage, able to get points and everything, multiple points in Thunderclap. There's the rotation in, but it looks like he's already got his boots, so they just weren't able to get the kill. I mean, also that was a pretty futile, or not futile, weak attempt. No smoke used, didn't wrap around. Although, maybe they did use the smoke, it just popped. I mean, when you're coming from that direction, it's pretty obvious. Perhaps could have waited for nighttime. Invis gets taken up off the bottom rune. This could be what they're looking for, but I don't know that they have the damage necessary. This is only a level 2 exhort. Level 1 soul catcher. It's good damage, but they need more. Boombell, he's rotating now, but he steps so far forward. Thunderclap gets used, and yes, Boombell has shown up in time. They've got the Malefice plus the Cold Snap. There's the disruption. Is he gonna be able to land the soul catcher? It's unfortunately lands onto the creep, and particularly given that they have no follow-up, the Cold Snap was used, no mana for the Sunstrike. They just don't have the damage necessary. Arrow does get the top tier 1. They take the first tower of the game, as they should, with an Enchantress and Juggernaut. Level 2 Healing Ward provides plenty of healing for both the creeps, the normal creeps, as well as Enchantress creeps to withstand tower hits. They'll continue up top. They want to force rotation from MiTH. I think this is a good plan. Slow down the level 6s as much as possible. Have not seen... Yeah, Zhangzai, looks like he stayed bottom for a little while, but... Oh, actually the split gets used in middle. Going after Invoker, but looks like the Malefice is going to slow down the Wind Spirit enough. Is he going to be... He doesn't have the mana necessary to finish off this Enigma. And so the first split gets used to no effect. Getting damage on Invoker is irrelevant, since he's got 2 points at Quas. So a wasted split really doesn't get anything done with it. No, that's out of the game for 2 minutes.
A barrel of blast.
So that's kind of a win for MiTH, but DDZ continues to control the lane. 33-8 versus 19-7. That just really shouldn't... I don't think it should be happening.
Damage.
Morphling does have free farm at bottom. Actually outpacing Lance by quite a bit. 42 and 22 versus 27 and 11. I think that is partially because of the tower push. Makes it a little bit harder to last hit reliably. But Juggernaut has spin. Doesn't look like he's used it for farming purposes, but once you get to level 3 spin, it's pretty easy to burn through creep waves, and I don't know, I don't think I can explain the massive loss of last hits there. I don't think the tower push explains all of that. DDZ, 1200 gold on him. I imagine he'll go straight for a blink. That is the standard Brewmaster thing these days. Arcane's not as necessary since the blink no longer costs mana. Cold Snap gets used on DDZ. They don't really have any follow-up here, though, so it's just more harassment. Trying to interrupt last hits, but not even successfully. Johnny's getting his levels. He's level 4 now. Got 1 point across the board. Does not opt to skip the Nature's Guise, which, I think is a good idea. It's a strong spell. Blink's still a ways off for Zhangzai. Started to do some stacking in the jungle now that Enchantress. Well, it's still in the jungle herself, so there's not a lot of stacks to do. Looks like it'll be about the 10-11 minute mark before the blink is up, and that'll be about the time that MiTH is... You're not going to catch anybody by surprise with that blink. At least you shouldn't. MiTH should be fully aware of it. MiTH, that was the rush for Lakel's down at bottom. I was saying if he gets the right creep, but this is not an ideal... Yeah. If he had a Troll Summoner, perhaps. Yeah, going for the MiTH, actually double MiTH on MiTH. This is a risky move, given that they're up against such a strong 20 to 25 minute group up by Arrow. However, the Invoker especially benefits a lot from it. He needs the levels so badly. Morphling, I think this is the more dangerous part about it. They do need Morphling to be ready to be involved sooner rather than later, and can definitely slow that down. MiTH.TRust positioning very cautiously. They know that Arrow is in the vicinity of bottom, but ultimately just some wasted time. Bit of a slow early game. I think things should pick up over the next 5 minutes. Expect some action, particularly once Brew hits level 11, gets a Blink Dagger. The split becomes a lot better. The duration, that extra 2 seconds makes a big difference. Earn up on... Oh my god. Enchantress has such a low HP pool, 530, even though she's at level 5. I think that's easily one of the worst in the game, I want to say. So that earn is important. Zhang next last hit will bring him his blink, so it is about a 10-minute Blink Dagger. Level 6 for KYT. Maybe I should say that. Kite? KYT? I don't know. Vendetta not been used to much effect just yet. MiTH.TRust positioned very far back right now. But now that the Blink Dagger is here, I think they're ready to fight. DDZ as well has his. So 2 Blink Daggers at the same time. MiTH.TRust may not be ready to account for that. No level 6 on Johnny, so there's no overgrowth here. The replicate, he doesn't currently have a replicate up. He starts to more strength as soon as he sees... Yeah, he's going to go down. Wave forms away. Actually, there's a support from TNK. The split. Nice defensive disruption will help him for the time being, but he's just going to go down. They feed up 2 kills. Split, maybe a little bit overkill, but it's going to help them push the tower, and they'll take the second tower of the game.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And that's a kill on Morphling too, which is important. Still no important items up on him yet. And getting the early kills when MiTH is off cooldown.
Dire's structures are
It's influential. So MiTH will respond by doing some work on the mid-tier one. I don't know that they're going to be able to get it. As soon as they TP in, I think... Well, maybe it's going to be close. Yeah, looks like they will get the mid-tier one. That's actually a pretty decent trade for MiTH. Arrow being on the Dire side. Oh, there's the Sunstrike. Yeah, that's a dead Brewmaster. Steps really far forward. I mean, that was some easy stuns. That was just Spike, Carapace, Impale, and Malefice taking him down.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Not as big of a deal, given that he's splits on cooldown right now, so... Not a lot of opportunity cost there, but it's a valuable kill for MiTH, and it's slowing down the momentum from Arrow, which that's really what they're looking for. Oh yeah, I remember coming up with that the other night. Momentum lineup. It sounds much better than Snowball. Snowball's overused. Yeah, so with this momentum draft from Arrow, small pickoffs like that do matter quite a bit. 1900 gold on Abba. Arrow, they've got a medallion up on Johnny. I think it's a great item for Treant Protector to have, actually. He has naturally high HP, and the armor definitely helps a lot, but since they're on the Dire side, helps with Roche quite a bit. They Sunstrike in, they're aware this is going on, they do have Black Hole available, as well as the mech. This could be a good fight for them to take. Vendetta also available. They're not going to get Roche fast enough. They could be in trouble here. There's a jump in from DDZ. He doesn't have the split for another 3 seconds. He's got to survive long enough to get the split, and he's not going to be able to get it off. The Black Hole from Boobell is enough to do it, but there's the overgrowth. It lands on 4. The spin from Lance doing plenty of work. The lasso just pulls Nyx Assassin up onto the top cliff. He will drop. It's a great fight for MiTH.TRust. Or for Arrow. Although, no, not anymore. Wow. A lot of back and forth in that fight. Morphling stays up, as well as does Invoker. It looked like a potentially good turnaround with that 4-man overgrowth, but MiTH.TRust are just going to take... Wow, that was close. DDZ almost... Is he going to be able to split? He just wants to split. He's waiting for the next blink and thunderclap. Johnny's going to go on top of Abba right now, who does not have much to do here. One more right click, he should just drop. And actually, DDZ finds himself a kill on Shadow Demon. So that, that works out just a little bit. Check out buyback status. So that was a buyback from DDZ to make that kill happen. So, they make it less bad, but that's still an Aegis on Morphling, and that's a guaranteed 6 minutes of uninterrupted farm for him. There's no point in ganking Morphling if he's got an Aegis. You can't do it twice. And that just buys time for MiTH, which I think is all they're really interested in right now. I have to say, sloppy placement there from Arrow. I think that getting a 4-man black hole, particularly DDZ, stepping out so far forward when he knew the split was on cooldown, he's not that survivable. There's plenty of magic damage that can ignore that great evasion that he has. And without the split, Arrow, that's clearly why Arrow lost the fight. If they had it, I think it would have gone very differently. And this is a pre-BKB black hole. There's tons of ways that can be interrupted, at least when Primal Split is up. Primal Split.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Does appear to be a Necrobook coming online for Abba. Going for the Forged Spirits-oriented build. Which, given that they've got the Healing Word, I think is a great choice. Lasso. It's available for Zhangxi. Zhangsai. Man. Will he find a pickup here? Oh, there's a Spike Carapace from the Nyx Assassin. The split comes out. TNK, he's already used all his mana up. He has nothing else to offer in this fight. However, the Forged Spirits are going to finish off Zhangsai. It's a 1-for-1 trade right now. That's bad for Shadow Demon. It's not a great trade. Not getting much else out of this fight. And with the Morphling here, Lincoln Sphere now finished. This is a very scary thing to deal with when they're 1 man down. MiTH.TRust, they'll go in for it, but aren't able to get on top of him. There's no Blink Dagger yet available on Nyx Assassin. And I think that's a critical time for Arrow. They need to make as much use of that as possible, especially before the BKB comes online from Boombell. They don't have much way to stop that. Still never got my answer about Overgrowth interacting with BKB channeling. Someone should look that up for me. But if it does, then that's literally their only tool. You don't really want to have to save Overgrowth for that. Overgrowth is not such a powerful CC that you want to have to be waiting on that. You'd rather prefer to be catching heroes out rather than using it as a response. That Lincoln Sphere finished. I imagine it's going to be the shotgun build. That's almost the only build we see on Morphling these days. I mean, not that the other options are that exciting on Morphling. Yeah, Scotty, Manta, Satanic, Butterfly. I mean, they're all just standard carry items. But once he does have that, I think Arrow really is in trouble. If they can just burst the brew down instantly before the split happens, then so much of Arrow's draft is just muted. They're completely dependent on Juggernaut, and I don't know if I like this build that Lance is going for here. Going for the Ag Scepter when you're behind as Juggernaut, it has such a limited impact on the game. Ag Scepter, in my opinion, on Juggernaut is much more of a ganking tool. It's much more for use when you're ahead. It does help the cooldown a lot, but that's just... I don't know that that's really where they want to be focusing their damage. Especially given, I mean, wouldn't be shocked to see a Butterfly on Morphling this game. There's enough right clicks to warrant it. And since he kind of needs to tank for his team, evasion helps with that a lot. But if he does go Butterfly, that's going to force Juggernaut to go for an MKB, and it's going to be a long time before that's available. Arrow, this is not a good situation for them. They're the ones that should be planted on MiTH.TRust's side of the map. But instead, they're just getting their lanes pushed in. They're just forced to stay back. And you can even see Kite looking for a potential target with the Vendetta. He's got that blink now. He is dangerous. Well, we did get the excitement around the 10 minutes, but seem to be slowing down again as Arrow put onto the back foot. Yeah, it's about 6,000 gold, 5,000 experience in favor of MiTH.TRust right now. And that's just a lead that they really shouldn't have. And that's going to make these minuses pay off quite nicely. It's a little risky, but they'll have paid for themselves relatively soon. And that makes the late game even less pretty for Arrow.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Ag Scepter, about half complete for DDZ. That'll be pretty important for him. Lakel's working on the bottom tier 1, does manage to get it. I don't think, without a 4 staff, they're not going to be able to catch up to him, and he just replicates out anyways. Doubt that Pate is going to be finding anybody in the jungle. They don't really have any vision in here. Not a lot of wards, useful wards up on the map, I would say. I mean, Arrow has this one at bottom to help spot TPs for the tower, but that and a rune ward, not much. Arrow, likewise, I mean, they've got these rune wards up, which are important, but they aren't helping them take objectives. Which is perhaps just a reflection of the fact that they haven't been on the Radiant side of the map in a while. Haven't managed to get the wards up. There's the Ag Scepter on Juggernaut. 20 minutes in, that's his first major item. It's gonna help, but they really need more damage. More damage. Especially, I don't know, against 2 heroes that can go invis. You got Invoker and Nyx Assassin. That's 2 ways to stop the Omni Slash. Ghost Scepter doesn't stop the Omni Slash anymore. It does prevent the damage, but it doesn't halt it, so it's not quite as devastating of a counter. But invisibility is still pretty awesome, and it's unlikely that he's going to be carrying a gem or dust, being the one position on this team. Though, given the farm, you could argue that. Well, no, he's ahead of Brewmaster at this point. He's had a lot of solo farm time. Shanghai, pretty close to his 4 staff. It's pretty important for him. Passive mid game here. 4 grouped up at mid. I mean, almost the same situation for MiTH. A little more evenly distributed. But all this time spent grouped up and not accomplishing anything. I think they're really hoping to bait something out, but with 5 in middle, it does look like they're ready to try and take this last tower down. Another thing to mention just about the tree pick. When you lose your tier 1s, that makes the tree pick so much less valuable. Part of what makes him great is being able to keep that in line. There's a blink in from Kite. Oh, are they just going to finish him off? Yes, they are. Tons of damage. Boombell, he gets lassoed up. Do they have the damage necessary to finish him off? He's able to drop the Midnight Pulse, but the Primal Split has already occurred. Looks like DDZ. Oh, is he gonna? He can't finish him off. He's at 20 HP. He manages to get away. Lakel's, he continues the chase. He has this Ethereal Blade now. He's almost out of mana, however, so I think I'll be able to finish him off. Yeah, there's the Impale. DDZ. He gets finished off. It's a 2 for none. They don't even get the Enigma. It's a great lasso target for Shanghai. But because Juggernaut was focused down so quickly, the blink in from Nyx Assassin, he just wasn't prepared with the spin. Realistically, Nyx shouldn't be able to pull that off versus a Juggernaut. It's a very fast cast animation. You should just be ready with the Q. If you're stepping in front like that, that's just, there's no reason to be giving yourself up. And he didn't even get an ult off in that fight. It's just so bad for Arrows. They lose their mid tier 2. Roche will be back pretty soon, and they don't have Primal Split for it. It's a bad situation for Arrow. Do they have a gem? No, just sentries. But MiTH.TRust does the necessary dewarding to make sure that they can safely do Roche. They're going to have Overgrowth. They'll still have Omni Slash, and Lasso's coming back off cooldown in just a second here. So I think Arrow they have to challenge this. They cannot give up the Roche. Otherwise, they're just going to bleed out for the rest of the game. Myth will be happy to sit back and let Lakelz farm up as much as he likes. Yeah, it does have that Ethereal Blade finished already. Boots of Travel, that's actually a really nice option for Morphling. So the split push will get even worse for them. And all Invoker really has to do is pop the Forge Spirits, the Necro Book, send that along with Morphling, and tons of tower damage can be done. The chip damage is not as valuable since they got the Treant Protector, but it's certainly possible for Morphling to take towers on his own with that kind of help.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Let's see what the next item is for Lance. I want to say that he picked up another... Is it either Aqua or Drums? Another mid-game item. They do need the auras. Smoke up by a few here on Arrow, but they see Shanghai.
Bottom tower
was not a part of that smoke. That, or he accidentally canceled it with the auto attack. Not too sure. Roche is back up.
Dire's bottom tower has
Both teams know this. You can see the Shadow Poison getting thrown out. But that doesn't provide vision anymore, does it? Yeah. Oh, the split used. They want to take out Shadow Demon as quickly as possible. Are they going to be able to do it? The Omni Slash gets used in the jungle. They're going to take Boombill out immediately. Lakelz finds his own kill on Shanghai with the shotgun. It's not a difficult kill. And just replicates out. I think with those two deaths, Arrow could take Roche, but perhaps opting to push out their lanes a little bit more. This bottom lane is getting pushed all the way in, and it wouldn't go particularly quickly. Got some damage, but it's Brew and Jug. They just don't hit that hard. It's something, but when it comes to Roche, it's just not that much. So it might just take them too long, and given that Black Hole is still on cooldown,
Dire's top tower is under attack.
perhaps deemed unworth it. In the jungle here, they're on the chase for Lakelz. He's morphing strength, so he's not going to have a waveform. Will they be able to take him down? Yeah, he gets support from his teammates. The Deafening Blast will shove them back, and he will escape unscathed. Yeah, you can see they just don't have the damage. They have no real form of burst. They require basically the perfect team fight in order to get what they want. They need a full Omni Slash, they need a full Lasso, a great Overgrowth, and lots of unimpeded auto attacks from Enchantress with her pure damage. There's the Ags on DDZ. This does make the Brew ult a lot stronger. So he becomes an actual threat now again in the next fight, at least until Myth are allowed to pick up their next item. But holy shit, this net worth! Wow, had not looked at that recently. Lakelz finds a solo kill on Juggernaut, or not a solo kill. He with the Vendetta Impale from Kite. But yeah, this game, 14,000 gold in favor of MiTH.TRust, as well as 10,000 experience. That is, I'm not sure they can come back from that. Arrow, things don't get better for them from this point on, especially with the deaths on Juggernaut. It's just the last two fights he needed to survive, and without that, Arrow just has nothing to look forward to. He's not got any items coming up. I mean, this Blade of Alacrity, what could it be? Manta Style? Okay. For a hero that has pretty average stats, illusions are not that scary, especially with no orb effects. Oh my god, the shotgun! He executes that perfectly, replicates just before the lasso comes. Wow. The fact that he's able to do that is pretty scary for Arrow. Myth will start to work on Roche. Let's see here. Any items, nothing with that Force Staff on Shanghai. There's Roche, Aegis put on to Lakelz, and Arrow are forced to get even more passive this game. I don't know that they have any hope here. They... it's going to be 20,000 gold pretty soon. I think MiTH.TRust can just group up and end it if they really, really want. They're probably going to opt to keep farming for just a little bit longer. There's no reason to go risky with it. They can still take another tier 2. But I imagine by the end of this Aegis, things are going to be done for Arrow.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I'm trying to think if there's any possible way that Arrow could make this happen.
Dire's top
The thing is,
tower
like, the
under
shotgun's
attack.
gonna kill somebody.
There's just too many targets. I mean,
Dire's
Batrider,
top tower has fallen.
Enchantress, even Juggernaut. He's 1600 HP, not that much. Actually, the Treant Protector is squishier than Juggernaut, so I'll give Juggernaut that. He's tankier than Tree. That's something. But they can still just burst him down so quickly. And he's going for the kill again. He finds it. He does give up the lasso this time, forced to go up the hill, but this is totally fine. He's able to replicate out, down to the bottom lane. He can keep pushing this in. And just pushing arrows so far into their base. Pushed into the tower across all lanes. Good replicate placement by Lekels in this game. Really good. Always, like, every time he replicates, he seems to be just moving on to the next objective. Just so efficient. Which is one of the great things about Morphling as a carry. It's just extremely...
Dire's bottom tower is
Every
under
second you
attack.
can be accomplishing things. Yeah, that's a pretty weak EMP. Not going to do much. It's 2 points in Wex, so... But, unlike many Invokers, actually opts to get some points in it, so good for him.
Regeneration.
Boombell, after that BKB, he's finished a mech. No real items up on TNK, but that's not too relevant for MiTH.TRust. There's a level 3 book. He also went for Boots of Travel, as well as a 4-staff.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Wow, the Fortify... This is a bad Fortify. It was just Illusions wailing on the tower. This means it's going to be even easier for the split push from MiTH.TRust. They can play this however they want, now knowing that there's no Fortify to worry about.
Dire's top tower is
Although, Abba stepping pretty far forward, he could get lassoed, but the supports that he has immediately available
top tower has
are
fallen.
pretty good for dealing with this. Meanwhile, Kite and Lekels up at top. They take down the top tier 3. The split push just
Dire's
continues.
bottom tower
There's the
is
split
under attack.
from DDZ. He's going to get the kill on TNK. So they find something, but they're still taking tons of damage on their racks, and they don't have the Fortify. Enchantress gets just one-shotted again. There's the overgrowth from Johnny. They lock down Kite for the time being, so they will find a kill here.
Dire's
But you
top
can see just down at
barracks
bottom,
are
they're
under
still
attack.
continuing the push. It's just back and forth. They can't push out fast enough. Splits on cooldown. The lasso's on cooldown. Overgrowth. What can they do to deal with Morphling? They're just going to find another tier 3 here.
Dire's
And
bottom
it doesn't
tower
even matter
has fallen.
that they have a Treant Protector. If you're damaging every building, you can't heal them all. And I think MiTH.TRust is just playing this perfectly. I mean, they do feed up some kills there, but it just doesn't matter. They know how strong their Morphling is. They know that they can continue to play like this without giving up anything. It is a Diffusal on Lance. An interesting choice. It's a good item. Given that, if you go for the Ag Scepter, you're getting lots of auto attacks in between slashes, and that can make. I mean, you're effectively adding quite a lot of damage to Omni Slash. If you really wanted to maximize the Omni Slash damage, you go for a Maelstrom next. Turn that into a Mjolnir. Get himself lots of right-click DPS. Oh my god, he can't stand up the right-clicks of just the illusions and the kills. Oh my god, finished off with a shotgun. That is disgusting. The illusions alone might do it. And down at bottom, the Forge Spirits plus Eidolons plus Necrobook. The first set of frags goes down. Oh my god.
barracks are under
MiTH.TRust just kind of waltz in. This is a perfectly executed split push, with the exception of maybe the kills down at bottom, but even that worked out in MiTH.TRust's favor. So Arrow calls it GG. 33 minutes in, 16-11. That's a bad draft by Arrow. I think that's the only way to summarize that. It's just an inferior draft, and their I don't know, their window for opportunity was so small. Was really, really small, and I don't know. The Treant Protector, I think, was the big mispick for Arrow. If they wanted to go with this lineup, that does work. It is still, you know, you have to execute within a specific window of time, but Treant Protector just offered nothing for them in those fights. The overgrowth was not enough. They needed burst damage. They needed... there's so many supports that would have performed better. Alina would have been fantastic. Get the burst to take down Morphling. There are several fights where MiTH.TRust, their heroes walked away at super low HP, and if they'd had something like a Laguna Blade or Finger of Death, they absolutely would have gotten those kills. Another option, why not a Shadow Shaman? You don't maybe not the Shadow Shaman. You don't want to put him in the 5 position when you've already got 4 other heroes that are pretty in need of items. You don't want to have a no item Enchantress. Trying to think of what else. Not sure what was banned. Ancient Apparition probably was, but he would have been fine, even just for the, you plop on the Chilling Touch and you've got lots of extra damage. I think Juggernaut plus Brew is an inherently weak combo. It's the double melee plus the... I don't know. Their damage is so predictable, and that makes Enigma a very strong pick and locks out your options for how you can approach a fight. I think something ranged would have gone along better. Vengeful Spirit actually, I think, would have been a fantastic option for Arrow.